Okay, we're missing one, but if he shows up, that's great. If not, can't wait forever. So, thanks everybody for coming. There's a microphone up here, but I'm not going to use it. If you're struggling to hear me, let me know, and I'll stick that thing up to my mouth. But I'd rather not use it. So, the way this will work tonight, I know it looks a little bit different than last year. Like everything else in the world right now, a lot of that is due to COVID. So the only other thing different that COVID wouldn't have something to do with would be our highlight video. And Kaufman and I talked about that, and until we find a way to present it larger, where you can actually see what's going on, it's not really worth showing. So, and hopefully in years to come, we'll have a highlight video during this, but it needs to be a bigger screen so everybody can see it. So, and the plaques. We don't have all the plaques displayed, but that is because our fine maintenance department has got them finally hung on the wall. So they're all screwed up there now. In the past, they were all just loosely sitting in the trophy case, so they were easy to grab. I wasn't going to unscrew them all, but we'll go over what they've all achieved. They're just not shown off. So other than that, couldn't invite the community, things like that because of COVID. That stinks, but we're probably used to all that by now. The way this will work, I'll give some thanks, a little season recap. We'll have the award ceremony for these guys. We'll have a class recognition, and then we'll get out of here. So, hour and a half, 2 hours, we should be out. So that's the way it'll go. Thank yous is what I'll start with. First, I'd like to thank our administration, Dr. Anderson and Mr. Wilson, which neither are here. And then Larry O'Connor, which I don't think Larry came either. He's been a blessing this year. Not to be disrespectful to any of the ADs of the past, but having an actual AD has been amazing. He handles everything. You have to ask him once, and he takes care of it. As far as scheduling, officials, logistics, any equipment, in the past, I've had to do that all myself, and he's taken care of it. So that has been amazing. I want to thank him a lot. The Booster Club, I'd like to thank them for the merchandise that they sell, the support our program, and then the support they give us. They help us out with some equipment, things like that. Darla and Aaron are 2 secretaries. Did Darla come tonight? What's up, Ed?
She's babysitting.
She's babysitting your family?
Yeah. My mom should be coming soon.
Okay.
If she shows up, cool. If not.
All right, thanks. They put up with a lot for me. I call them a lot. I stop by there a lot. I get a lot of stuff in the mail. I never check my mailbox. It's always overflowing. And they remind me, and finally I'll grab it, and they'll make some jokes or whatever. But I want to thank those 2 ladies. Bus drivers. Lisa drove us. Who else drove us? Mary drove us. Those guys are awesome. Couldn't get places without them. I'd like to thank the cheerleaders. They do a great job anytime we need support, obviously at games and everything else, but then behind the scenes, they decorate hallways. If we have a long bus ride, they'll decorate the bus, things like that. They do a great job. Treva and our girls do a great job there. Our maintenance crew, which is Willie and Tom, they do all our practice fields and game fields. Carol, she cleans up our locker room, which doesn't sound like much, but most of you are parents of high school boys and realize how dirty that locker room is. And then Nick Schmidt, he set GPS locations for all of our fields now, so we have pins in the ground. Hey, thanks, Carol, for all that you do. I just said your name. Nick came over and set pins in all of our practice fields and our game field so we can line it a lot easier now. We just got to find the pins and we can run string. It saves hours and hours and hours, and he did all that for free. So I want to thank him there. Game day crews, Kelly for running the scoreboard, Tony Weedle for announcing for us. He does a great job, an excellent job. And then everyone else that's up there, I know there's other people up there that take part in that. I want to thank Eric Nordstrom. He helps us with our field prep. He does all my game day music, and I don't think he likes it very much because I'm really strict about it and I have exact start times, and he's always texting and apologizing. And I didn't get it started on time, within the 30 seconds or whatever. He does a great job. And then he provides us with a little, what brand is that truck? I don't know. It's a Japanese truck that we haul everything out to the game field, practice field, and it helps us out a ton, and he provides that for us every season. So I want to thank him for that. Taryn, I think I saw Taryn walk in. I want to thank you again. She's our game day manager. She comes and she helps us. She takes everything out to the field. She helps with waters. She gets screamed at a lot by me. But she wouldn't have to come back. She's graduated, obviously. She would not have to come back and do that. She takes time out of her life and everything else to come back and help us out. She's really good at what she does. So I want to thank you for that, Taryn. Clay and Lane, they're not here, but Clay Weedle and Lane Hebert, they are media guys. They didn't miss a game all year, I don't think. They set up a camp. They got lawn chairs and a tent. They got their energy drinks on one side, a bag of chips on the other, and they do all of our film. So these guys, so they can watch their huddle. We have huddle sideline now to where it's all live streamed, us coaches during the game. They're running the camera for that. So, those guys, without them, it'd be very hard to do. Isaiah, I cannot remember Isaiah's last name. Richardson, which is Coach O's brother-in-law, correct? He comes and he helps us chart plays and things in the up in the press box. Caitlin Bressy, which is here, the new baby. Yes, I said Bressy because that's what I've called her since she was 10, and I can't pronounce his last name anyway. So, and he's okay with that. But and Don Mastry for helping us out with stats. You guys do a great job with that. I'd like to thank my cousin Bo, who's no longer with us. He passed away this winter, right around Christmas time. He hadn't missed a game since I became a coach. I think he missed one. He did our stats for us. He did a lot for us behind the scenes. These guys probably don't even know who he is. They probably didn't see him very often, but he was at every single game, and he didn't watch the game as a fan. He watched the game to take stats. And if you don't know how hard that is, ask Caitlin, ask Dawn. You want to cheer, you want to get after it, because something good happens. And he could never be that guy. He always had to go to work, basically. And he was willing to do that for me, and he never blinked an eye about it. He always emailed me for rosters, because I never sent them to him. He was way more organized than I will ever think about being. And he loved Canton-Galva, and he loved Canton-Galva football. In his house, which now his parents live in, he had a room that was still dedicated just to Canton-Galva, CG border. I mean, he really loved the school, and he obviously loved CG football. So, gonna miss him. We're all gonna miss him. He probably deserves much more than that said, but I'm not gonna cry. So I'm gonna move on. I'd like to thank Brian and Jared. You guys, for those of you that don't know, they're our junior high coaches. Jared's a head coach, Brian's his assistant. And then after practices and on game nights, they come and help me. And they do that for free. They don't get a kickback. All that time is spent, is their time. And they're giving that to the program. And I want to thank you guys for doing that. I want to thank the parents, you guys. First and foremost, for Thursday team dinners, these guys love to eat. Okay, we all know that. And you do a great job. Tara runs that for us. I think she's here. She does a great job with that, setting that up, and everybody helps. It's a great thing. And I always said, if it ever came down to me having to do anything with it, we weren't going to have it, because I got too much on my hands already, and I've never had an issue. You guys step up and you take care of it, and it's awesome. Away games, sack lunches. For every away game we have, there's always a table set up with sack lunches after for the bus ride home. We don't pay for that. That comes out of the parents' pockets, and I know how much of a burden that can be. And that's awesome. We can't thank you enough for that. Again, they love to eat, okay? I can't afford to feed them, so I'm glad you guys do that. For the jersey auction, which is maybe the best fundraiser in Kansas, okay? Maybe the nation, not really sure. But it can't happen if you guys aren't willing to get your checkbooks out and have a little fun. And I know it's crazy. It is flat out crazy, but it beats you guys having to hear these guys come home and complain because they got to go door to door selling cards or whatever the heck it is. I told them a long time ago I don't want them doing that stuff. So as long as we can have fundraisers and have a little fun with it like that, I think that's a way better alternative. So I appreciate that. And then everything else you guys do, getting them to practice, getting them home, feeding them, letting them grow, letting them come to weights at 6 o'clock in the morning. You can name 1,000 things, but it's all awesome and it's all worth it, and it's what it takes to be successful. So I want to thank the people that held our dinner locations. The city of Canton did that for us. The Canton Fire Station did that for us. The American Legion held a couple of those for us. And then Justin and Chris Reynolds, we used the barn once or twice. I don't remember. Was it twice? I don't remember. In Galva. So I want to thank all of them. I wanted Justin to come tonight because I also want to thank him for making loud booms on Friday nights. The town has to hate him. I know the visiting team hates him because the coaches have told me multiple times, but it's awesome. And we score a lot of points, and he goes through a lot of powder. I don't know how much, but it's a lot. I don't know where he gets it. Has to be black market because otherwise the cops would be asking questions, But no, I want to thank you. He built the cannon himself. He painted it all up. It matches everything else out there, and it's an awesome thing. So, and for those of you that don't know, the reason we brought that back is because when I was in high school, and before that, up until 2001 and 9/11 happened, we always had a cannon. That was kind of our tradition. We always had a cannon for when we scored. And then 9/11 happened, and they outlawed all that stuff, and they've since allowed it to come back, and we never brought it back until I came. And I wanted it back because I like traditions, I like those types of things. So he was kind enough to make one, and he helps us out with that. Xavier, stand up. I want to thank Xavier. X broke his back before the season started this year, and he wasn't able to compete. Without knowing, he kind of became everything. He helped with what our managers do. He helped with what our film crew does. Whatever we asked him. The kid never says no, and I probably take advantage of that. But he helped us out with everything, and I know deep down, obviously, he wanted to be playing football. That's what these guys want to do. That's why they're out here, and he was not able to do that. And what I appreciated was there's a lot of kids that just would have sat over on the sideline and did nothing, and goofed off for the most part. And he never did that one time. He was always looking for something to do, always wanting to help, and you'll never get that season back. I understand that, but I just want to let you know how much I appreciate what you did for us.
Thank you.
Okay? I'd like to thank the wives and the girlfriends. We spend a lot of time, and most of the time you guys don't even see. It's film, it's Saturdays, it's Sundays. When the season starts, this is my family. These guys are my wife when the season starts. I see them way more than I see my actual family. So I want to thank the wives. And then last but definitely not least, I want to thank my wife who's not here because we have a sick kid. But she's awesome. She allows me to do this and never gives me grief about any of it. So, yeah, that's not altogether true. But it keeps it to a minimum. So I want to thank her for that. And as you can see and how much time that takes, look, there's a lot of programs out there, and there's a lot of unsuccessful programs. And in my personal opinion, most of that is because they don't have this type of support. If I just had to stand up here and say, hey, I want to thank administration for the season, and that was it, we wouldn't be any good. Okay? I want you guys to realize all these people help out with what we do on Friday nights. Okay? All these people. They help us. And if you see them on the streets or whatever, you need to tell them thank you. Because this is what it takes. I believe we're a very successful program. I believe that tradition is going to continue. And this is what it's going to take, year in and year out. Okay? So, I know that's a long list, and if I forgot somebody, I apologize. Definitely not perfect, don't claim to be. So, thank you to all those people. Briefly, I just want to talk about the season. We had a very successful year, great year. Went 10-1 on the year. Had the one loss at the end of the year in the sectional round of the playoffs, which ended a 23-game winning streak that the class, the team last year and this year had went through those 23 games undefeated, which is crazy to me to even think about what kind of an accomplishment that is. Offensively, I think we ended up being first ahead of Madison. I think after the final game, is that right? And then defensively, we were the #1 defense in the state. Great year. Great year. Fell a little short at the end. We can live and learn from that, okay? But I wouldn't, other than COVID, I wouldn't change anything, okay? We went through it all, had some ups and downs, and we fought through everything. So it was a really good year. A lot of accomplishments, which we're going to get to. That's what this stack of paper is. And proud of each and every one of you for the season we had. Okay? Proud of the seniors. We'll get to that a little bit later. We'll talk about that. But heck of a career and a heck of a season. We're going to move on to the awards presentation. First off, I'm going to list our football letter winners. Would you guys stand up when I call your name? These are kids, before the season on a handout, there's a certain criteria they have to meet every year to be a letter winner. They know what those expectations are before the season starts. There's a bunch of stuff listed in there. I'm not going to go over it now. But these are the players that accomplished that. Garrett Maltby, Ryder Nordstrom, Grayson Akala, Kason Mastry, TJ Kane, Tyson Schruber, Xavier Westbrook, Andrew Prieg, Keaton Littrell, Connor Kane, Tyler Rummel, Brayton Collins, and Brandon Huff. Those are your letter winners for 2019. Okay, we also were given an award this year that I find very hard to believe, but hey, we got the piece of paper. So this is for Distinguished Scholastic Achievement Award. Yeah, right? This is as a team collectively, we achieved a grade point average of 3.25 to 4.0 as a team. So they gave us this. I'm not going to say that again because I'll butcher it. I practice to say it once. Okay? But those certificates, each and every one, if you get one over here, I don't know if they got the wrong school. But hey, we'll take it. Okay? So, got that award too. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the all-league, all-state stuff. I'll start with all-league. You guys can hold your applause until each category. So basically, I'll just tell you when to clap, okay? Otherwise, we'd be here much longer than we already are going to be. But we state all-league, first team this year. Stand up again if I call you. Keaton, Connor, Brayton, and Tyson. And then Brandon Huff is honorable mention. We stay all league. Capital All-State. First team offense was Brayton Collins. Honorable mention offense was Keaton and Garrett. First team defense was Connor Kane and Tyson Schruber. And honorable mention defense was Brandon Huff. Wichita Eagle All-State. Honorable mention offense, Brayton Collins, Tyson Schruber, and Garrett Maltby. First team defense, Connor Kane and Tyson Schruber. Honorable mention defense, Keaton and Brandon Huff. And defensive player of the year was Tyson Schruber. Sports in Kansas this year. And for all of these things, if you don't know, there's patches available for their letter jackets. Are letter jackets still playing? So there's patches available. You just get online and you can get these patches. Top 100, and this is going to get lengthy. Hang with me. Top 100 non-senior first team all class was Tyson Schruber. Go ahead. Top 100 non-senior honorable mention all class was Garrett Maltby. Top 100 senior honorable mention all class was Keaton Littrell, Connor Kane, and Brayton Collins. Eight-man Division I all-senior team. So this is 8 for offense and 8 for defense. Brayton Collins made the offensive team, and Connor Kane made the defensive team. Defensive stat leaders, all class. So this is everybody in the state, and this is roughly, they track the top 50 to 75, depending on how many ties there are and things like that. Defensive stat leaders, Tyson Schruber was on the list with 70 tackles and 5 interceptions. Keaton Littrell was on the list for 6 sacks, and Connor Kane was on the list for 5.5 sacks. Offensive stat leaders, Garrett Maltby was on the list for passing yards, 1,304, and rushing yards, 904. Brayton Collins was on the list for rushing yards, 1,082, and Tyson Schruber was on the list for receiving yards, 917. And then I am working on buying a school record board for offense and defense, career and single season. I've taken a lot of time to go back and try to get everybody's stats so these are correct and accurate. Those record boards are expensive, so if you'd like to pay for one, I'm down here. If you want to write me a check, I'll gladly accept it. What'd yours cost?
Just under 2.
Yeah, around $2,000. So, if you're willing, I'll take it. But eventually, we will have a record board here somewhere, and all this will be on it. So I'm going to go over the records that were broken by kids this year or throughout their high school career. So offensive records, this is career records for offense. So on the record board, the top 4 would be listed, for Canton-Galva history. Brayton Collins moved into 2nd place in career rushing. His career stats were 407 attempts for 3,305 yards and 56 touchdowns. Tyson Schruber moved into 1st place in career receiving. He has 137 receptions, 2,507 yards, and 45 touchdowns, and a year to go. And then career offensive touchdowns, Collins moved into 2nd with 58, and Tyson moved into 3rd with 57. So that's career offensive records. If you're wondering, I think off the top of my head, our rushing leader is Landon Everett. Our receiving leader is Tyson. And career offensive touchdowns is also Landon. And Tyson's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to catch it. Landon had a couple pretty good years. So, offensive single season record. So this will be the only guy up there for this category. Tyson Struber broke the single season reception touchdown record this year with 17. And that's the only one for single season records. Offensively, we'll move to defense. Career records. Brandon Huff moved into second in career tackles with 301 and a half. Eric Nordstrom may be able to dispute this a little bit. I don't have all 4 years of his stats, and I know that he had a lot of tackles, but Huff had more. So that's just where we're at. So if he wants to say something, he will. Tyson Struber moved into first in career interceptions with 22. And Connor Kane moved into first in career sacks with 17 and a half over his career. Defensive single season records, and both of these were actually broken in the 2018 season. Connor Kane holds a single season sack record with 8, and that was done his sophomore year, I believe, would have been 2018. And Tyson Struber holds a single season interception record at 10, and that's actually tied with Landon, and that was also in what would have been his freshman season, which was the 2018 season. So those are the records that will be on that board. They'll be up there to display. It's something to work towards too. Like I said, this has been a project for me for months now. I've gotten a lot of people involved. I hope I have everybody's accurate stats. If I don't, they can come and talk to me about it. Not now, Eric. Okay, later. So, all right, we're going to move into defensive awards. I'm going to let Coach O cover that, and then I'll get back up there. For these, and the next ones for me, you're going to come up and actually receive your award. Okay, in front of here, so the camera can see you. Don't be shy. You shake with your right, or accept with your left. Okay? All right.
All right, so I just want to start off by covering some of our team accomplishments this year defensively. As Coach Hoppus said, it was a pretty successful year. We ended the season allowing the fewest amount of points in A-man football, which is always a good start. On top of that, we also posted 6 shutouts out of the 11 games. 9 of the 11 games, we allowed 8 or less points. And then, like I said, up to week 11, we allowed the fewest points, which was 58 through 10 games. So I'd like to give the whole team a round of applause. Okay, as far as awards go, this past year I came up with something that we're calling the Heat defense from here on out. So I kind of compiled all the traits that I think it takes to be a successful defensive football player for Canton-Galva. And that list includes, and the expectations of every player, is to be able to play fast, physical, create turnovers, stay disciplined, and most importantly, play with emotion. Okay, so I have one award for each one of those categories. At the beginning of the year, I kind of told them that I'd be tracking this each week, and at the end of the season, we just compile how many points each player got in that category, and that would be the winner for those categories. I also will be recognizing the Defensive Player of the Year, which had the highest accumulation of points at the end of the year. The first award I'm going to give out is the Motor Award. This is awarded for excellent effort and mentality week in and week out. This player stood out this year as someone that no matter what, they gave 100% on absolutely every play. His presence in the middle of the defense, for lack of better words, created problems. Okay, you can probably ask the guys down the road in Mound Ridge about that one. And this year's recipient for the Motor Award goes to Keaton Littrell. Okay, the second award that I'm going to be giving out is called the Thumper Award. This is for excellent physical effort week in and week out, and these are the guys that like to hit. every time you hear a big crash, they're probably the ones that are standing over a body out on the field. So this year there are 2 people receiving this award. One thing that I just wanted to share was one of the feedback comments that I got after a game is the Little River game. They talked about these 2 players specifically and said, I think we were just afraid of them. And those 2 guys are Brandon Huff and Connor Kane. Okay, this next award, I called it the Bandit Award, and this one's extremely important because we all know how important those turnovers come, especially during the playoff time. So this is awarded for leading the team in takeaway involvement. And again, this was a tie between 2 guys. And anything counts, whether it's a forced fumble, fumble recovery, interception, whatever it is, it all counts. And we are very fortunate to have 2 guys that had a very strong output when it came to the turnover column, and those 2 people are Tyson Struber and Garrett Maltby. They also get a t-shirt that says Bandit on it. We like those turnovers. This next award is probably the most difficult one to get on here, and it's awarding the player that exhibits discipline. And this is called the Soldier Award, and it's for weekly example of staying disciplined and fundamentally sound. And you'll know exactly who I'm talking about when I tell this story. But this player, as a freshman, I recall during Solomon game, comes over, slobbering, tears in his eyes a little bit. He might disagree with that. Looks at the coaches and says, how am I doing? And it was right after a play where we had a trap block come. He turns his shoulders to the trap block, picks him up off the ground, and gorilla slams him into the ground. And we replied, well, you turned your shoulders a little bit out there. And he's like, okay. The rest of the year, you can see him on film. He'd turn his shoulders, he'd jump and just stand there. He wasn't gonna let it happen twice again. And he did that as a freshman, and then he followed that up with 3 years of extreme discipline. And I've watched a lot of game film up to this point, and I can say he's the best defensive end. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, but he's the best defensive end I've seen on film. And I have confirmation of that from other coaches as well. That player is Connor Kane. Okay, this next award is called the Heart Award, and it's for the emotion and encompassing and the emotional purpose of the 8 defense. This person's been the rock of our defense for the last 4 years. This last year, he was called the guy in the middle, the man in the middle. And I'm sure these younger guys, these underclassmen, will be happy that he's leaving. It's because the beating he put on them in practice. But I can't thank this player enough for everything he's given this program in the last 4 years. His attitude and his effort on the field stands for itself. The player earning that award is Brayton Collins. And lastly, the Defensive Player of the Year. Again, this was the total accumulation of all points throughout the year in our chart. Again, 4-year starter, extremely disciplined, and just going off saying a little bit more about him, he's already received an award. But some of the other coaches that I've talked to, he's the guy that they show how to play his position. They show their players this is how the game's played and how it's played right. He was a force this year, and a lot of the things that he does to make a good defense goes unnoticed from his position, and that player is Connor Kane.
Okay, we're going to continue on with those awards from the offensive side of the ball, and then team awards. The first one I'm going to hand out is called our Juice Award. It's for the player that shows energy every single day. Practice, games, sidelines, no matter where he's at, he's got a ton of energy. And we love energy. And I think these guys would say that this year we struggled in that category. It was hard to get excited about stuff this year. I don't know why. You know, you have those teams. But this kid didn't struggle with that. And that's Isom Marshall. Next is the most improved player, and I went ahead and I accumulated, you know, this is over his career for the most part. A lot of it had to do with this season, but over his career, this specific player, you know, he got better each and every year, each and every day. He was always coachable. He worked his tail off, maybe showed up late a time or two, but always was there to work. And that player is Tyler Roman. Next is our Scout Player of the Year. The last couple of years, 3 years, playing Scout team for us is not fun. It just isn't. Seen a lot of crying. A lot of kids want to quit. It's just one of those things that in order for us to get better at a varsity level, we got to have those kids that commit to the Scout team and try to make us better every day of practice, which means going up against guys like Brandon Huff, you know, Connor Kane, all those guys that they're scary dudes. I wouldn't want to hit them. Okay, I'm a grown man, so Scout team's no fun for us. And this player came back out after taking a year off, and he came and he worked every single day on that side, and he never complained about it one time. He took some lickings, but he also gave some lickings, and he worked extremely hard every day to make us better at the varsity level, and that's Andrew Brayton. Our practice player of the year, you know, that's kind of self-explanatory. That's the kid that shows up every day. He could have a bad day at school. He could have a bad day with his girlfriend. You know, you get all that crap, whatever it is. It's easy to take some days off here and there. This player never did, and I can honestly say that. I don't remember one time where this player took a day off, took a play off, took a series off, anything. He worked hard from start to finish, whether that's the weight room, practice, games, and that was pretty much for his whole career. And, you know, he's one of those kids that I wish he was coming back, like most of them, okay? Most, I say. Some of you I don't know that. Okay? But he has more heart than anybody, and he never shows, you know, I got into him one time over his career, and I think Andrew took the biggest punishment from this. But that was 2 years ago, and I didn't think he was blocking correctly, and I lit him up. And I said some choice words, you know, some football talk, serious football talk we had. And he took that to heart. And Andrew took the blunt end of it because he was mad. But that's the only time I ever had to get after him, and that's keeping the trouble. The next one is called the Big Man on Campus Award. It's given to the best offensive lineman of the year. This one was tough for me because we don't specifically grade our O-line play every single game like a lot of teams do. We do it a little different, so I don't have a point system or anything. Maybe I should come up with one. This would be a lot easier. But I just went off of, you know, who was the most physical, who completed blocks, who, you know, played the hardest. All those things were taken into account, and it was really tough because this year we had 3 seniors up there that worked their tail off, okay, and did everything I asked them to, and for the most part did it correctly. But I went ahead and I gave this to Connor Kane. And the last one is our Offensive Player of the Year. And this one's pretty simple. I pretty much go off stats, play, things like that. Attitude obviously always plays a part. But if you have offensive stats, if you're productive, that you're a good player. You're probably the best player on that side of the ball. And this year, that's Garrett Maltby. And then the final thing I wanted to mention for this part of the, whatever you call this, is we have two kids that have finally, in my 4th year, I may be able to watch some football on Saturday and root for an Eagle. Okay? I beg kids to go play. You're only young once. And this year we had Brayton Collins sign with Richardson Community College. Stand up, Brayton. Don't be a punk. And then he still has a year left, but Tyson Struber also verbally committed to K-State. I'm ready to watch some Saturday football with Eagles playing. That would be pretty cool. So, that's the award ceremony. We're going to finish up with just class recognition. I'd like my freshman kids to stand up, please. This class, they didn't quite take the beating on the scout team like the year before, but they did, like I said, it's no fun to play scout. And every single one of these kids played scout team this year and tried their best out there. It's hard sometimes. Those varsity players, we have a really good varsity team, obviously. And you ask Jade and Lane to go block Brandon Huff, and they're thinking, no, I'm not going to do that. But they do. They find a way. It's not always perfect. And they probably didn't get the job done, but they gave as much effort as they could. The other thing about this class that I love is for a small school, for 8-man football, I think there's 10 of you, is that right? I'm pretty sure, I don't know, math's hard. But that's a big class for us, and that's an exciting class. And I want all of you to continue to work hard. It starts in the weight room. Next year, a lot of you are going to have the opportunity to play varsity football. And I think for the most part, you're ready for it. You got to take your lickings. Now you just continue to grow as you grow up, right? But that starts this summer in the weight room, and then we go from there when the season starts. But very good freshman class. I'm excited for all these kids. Keep talking to your buddies, get the other kids in your class to play, because we always want more. But to have 10 in the class for us is really good. So congratulations to our freshmen this year. Again, as you can tell, another big class, okay? Exciting future for Canton-Galva, all right? That's the best part of both these classes, is you look at them and we could fill, 2.5 8-man football teams with these 2 classes. So that's awesome. This class, unlike the freshmen this year, they took their lickings last year. I heard a story, I won't mention names, but I didn't know this, but I heard a story after the season that there were a couple of them their freshman year, and as they're walking back to the locker room, they're kind of tapping each other. They're discussing if they want to quit. Like, do we really want to come back tomorrow for this? And I think they're both crying, okay? And as you can tell, none of them quit. They came back out. But these guys, they took a licking last year as freshmen. But most of them played significant varsity time this year and played it very well. And I'm a true believer, okay? You take those lickings for a reason. You take them so you can give them out, all right? And they had no problem dishing that out this year, okay? Ryder at corner, Grayson at corner, we like to hit, all right? Garrett played, not so much likes to hit, but you know, he does his best out there. TJ Preston, big kids. Casey played some receiver this year, varsity. Nick's gonna get there. He's powerlifting everything. Probably move my house if I asked him to. He's put on his back, walking down the road. But they took their lickings, and it showed on Friday nights as varsity players. And I have, zero doubt in my mind that will continue to just keep on getting better and better as you guys now are going to be upperclassmen next year. So that leadership role is going to be a lot bigger play. Okay? You got to become better leaders. And you got to continue with that physicality, the discipline, everything we preach every single day. But as upperclassmen, now you got those young punks below you, they follow you, and they watch what you do. And if you don't give effort, they don't give effort. You always got to remember that. Okay? You got to bring that leadership into it. But I'm super excited about this sophomore class in the future, in the next 2 years. I think we're going to have a heck of a run. So, sophomore class, congratulations. As you can tell, this class isn't as big. Okay? They're 3 strong, but 3 great kids. They work extremely hard. And as you can tell, all of them will contribute at the varsity level next year as seniors, contributed this year at the varsity level as juniors. Great class, great attitude, never have to get after any of these 3 for anything. They just go to work. And that's what it takes. Small class don't mean anything. It's what you bring to the table. So next year, you're going to be seniors. That's a lot different. You can ask these guys, okay? The seniors that are sitting around. Okay? Just like I told them with that leadership role, it's going to be a lot larger. All right? You got to keep your heads on straight, and you got to be leaders, and it'll be your last rodeo. And that's crazy to think, because it seems like yesterday you were this punk little freshman, But it's coming, and it's coming quick. Got to have a great summer, and get to next year, and have that senior year that you all want. Okay? As far as this year goes, I'm proud of each and every one of you, junior class. Stand up, seniors. These guys, and I'll probably struggle to get through this, but they have been fortunate enough to have me every single year of their football career. Junior high, they got me. High school, I came on up. Okay? So they haven't had any other football coach while they've been here. I've seen them grow. I've seen leaps and bounds from player development and just becoming great young men. Rummel, he may show up late once in a while. That's his saying. His phone alarm never seems to work quite right. There's a bunch of other cell phones that work every single time. Rum dog, it's only a couple minutes, But if you can get him there, works extremely hard for you. Great attitude, coachable kid. Never had one problem with Tyler. I'm gonna miss coaching him. I'm gonna miss. He's one of the funniest guys I know, and he's got this dry humor about him, and he's got these one-liners that'll drop, and you gotta think, was that funny or not? And you realize, oh, that was extremely funny. He wears shirts that say stuff about white boys, and he's a great kid, great football player, and I'm gonna miss him a bunch. Keaton, he grew up, threw him in there as a freshman against Solomon. They were one of the top teams in the state. Threw him in a low line, said, go block. Can't remember that kid's name, but he was a lot bigger than you. Yeah. He didn't block him very well. Took a lick that game. But, like I said, we take those for a reason. Sophomore year came out and was one of the best guards, in 8-man football. Junior year came back and was probably the best guard, if not the second best guard in 8-man football. And then as a senior, I asked him to change positions. We didn't have a kid that could snap the football. Last time I checked, it's pretty important to get the ball in the hands of the quarterback, and he never doubted me. He never asked why. He just said, yep, I'll do it. And I don't think maybe 1 or 2 bad snaps all year. Did a great job. He was also our commander up there. He gave all our calls this year. And he was a force to be reckoned with. So gonna miss coaching you too. Proud of the man you become. Huff over there, he started out in junior high as the meanest trapping guard you've ever seen. At maybe 110 pounds, I don't know. He wasn't a very big kid, but he loved to hit. And I mean loved to hit. Scary how much he loved to hit. So we put him in guard in junior high and said, you love to hit, go hit that big D in. And he did almost every single play. And to reward him for that, I think I put in some sort of guard end around or something for you so he could score a touchdown. And it just, from there on out, that's what he was. He's a hitter, and he's our best hitter. He takes pride in that, and I hope you young guys learn from that and learn that when he took the field, they were scared of him. And we had coaches tell us that. We were scared of him. And that's what we're looking for. That physicality every single day is what makes the team great. Okay? And he took pride in that job. And he became one of the best linebackers in 8-man. Offensively, I think I asked him to play every position except quarterback. And he asked me to play quarterback. No, he played quarterback. 4th and 42 in a JV game. I'm not exaggerating. 4th and 42. Coach Revere looked at me and said, what do you got for 4th and 42? I said, quarterback draw, tough. First down. Not kidding. Slowest 42 yards you'll ever see. Got it. But he played guard, he played end, never played center, I don't think. Played fullback, played tailback, played receiver. I mean, he had to learn it all, and he did a great job, and he never complained about it. And I'm going to miss coaching you too. Proud of the man you become. Connor over there. He's an interesting cat. Half the time when you're talking to him, you're pretty sure he's not listening. By pretty sure, I mean like 100% certain he didn't understand one thing I just said. But then he'll look at you and he'll answer the question, so he just has that look to him sometimes. The one thing about Connor, he's a little bit like Huff. He grew so much over his 4-year career. At guard this year, linebackers, they didn't want any. Okay, when he got his hands on somebody, he finished him. And he finished him with power. At DN, he was disciplined, and we put him to field side, and they didn't run that way. They just flat didn't go his way. That's awesome. That's the biggest compliment in the world, is when you can take away half a field because they're scared. Okay? And that comes by hard work every single day, and not being scared of contact, not being scared of being coached and coached hard. We got after Connor a lot when he was young, and especially defensively, because like Coach O said, he wasn't the most disciplined player in the world as a young cat. And he became the most disciplined player in football because he's willing to work and put in that effort. So proud of you, proud of the man you become as well. Collins, I wasn't real sure about old Collins in junior high. I think he was a little scared of contact. He'll argue with me, but I'm pretty sure he was. Didn't know where to put him. He couldn't remember a play to save his life. I would tell, and that never changed, actually. He would ask somebody to get him squared away, and then when he would ask, if he didn't like what he was hearing, he would just wave that off and just kind of do what he wanted, But as you can tell, the kid was probably the best leader in the weight room that anybody could ever ask for during a time period to where you're trying to build a program. And the way you build a program is in the weight room. It's not on Friday nights. It's not on the practice field. It is in the weight room. and he dedicated himself in there. I think as a freshman, he was 150 pounds maybe, dripping wet. And I'm not real sure he liked football. I think we've had that talk, actually. I don't think he wanted to play football. And he continued, and he worked, and he didn't quit, and then he found the weight room. And he enjoyed that weight room, and he still does. He made a workout for me this week. I think he's worried about me or something. He said, "Here, coach, try this 3-day workout." No way in hell I can do that workout. No way. I'm an old man. But that's what he loves, and that's where his passion's at. You can tell. And he's a beast in there. And that's why when you look at some of these other kids, they're in there too. And everybody wants to lift like Brayton Collins. And that's awesome. And I'm not trying to build his head up or anything else. It's just the way it is. When we go to powerlifting meets, man, who's that kid walking around? He works extremely hard now. And therefore, it made him a better football player. It made him not scared anymore. You know, it made him enjoy the game, and he became one of the best running backs in the game. And I probably should have given him the ball more. And I've had that talk with myself 1,000 times, and I'd be the first to tell him that. He probably should have got more touches. Not neither here nor there, but when he did get it, he worked his tail off. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the man you've become. Andrew took a year off for football, and that's fine with me. It's not for everybody, okay? And I don't bring that up in a bad way at all, because one of the most respectful things that I like about Andrew is he came back out as a senior. And that's probably one of the hardest things in the world to do. You know, it's easy to not play as a freshman and then come back out as a sophomore or whatever, but he came back out as a senior, knowing that we're a state championship caliber football team, knowing that the players in front of him are really, really good, and knowing that, hey, scout team might be where it's at. And he took extreme pride in filling that position. And he wanted to be part of the football team. And I've told him 1,000 times, and I'll tell him every time I talk to him, I'm so glad he came back out. I'm so glad he was able to be part of the team and the brotherhood that we had. And that's what I tell kids all the time who don't play. They don't understand what they're missing. And it's not Friday nights. It's not practices. It's all the team bonding in between. It's what you go through as a team. It's what these guys do in the weight room together. They're just together all the time. And it's that brotherhood. And Andrew missed that. And he came back out and he worked extremely hard. We didn't have to get after him one time for anything. And he was willing to get across from Keaton, who's also his cousin, and battle and just go to work and battle. And then he had to move down and get across from Roman, get across from Connor, and battle. And he did it every single day. And I'm glad you came back out. And I'm proud of who you become, proud of the man you become, and I hope you enjoyed your senior year of football. These guys, as a whole, with last year's senior class, I mentioned this, but they built this program to what it is right now. It takes a couple classes. It just does. And I was fortunate enough, my coaching staff, we were fortunate enough to get it started with that 2019 class and this class. You know, the 2019 class couldn't have done it by themselves. These guys couldn't have done it by themselves. But together, they chose, because this class was still part of boat wolfing freshman year. We sucked. We were awful. And I was bad. I didn't know what I was doing. We had a couple teams we should have beat. We didn't, because we were just all learning. And we were learning together, and we were growing up together. And we took those butt kickings. We had Claflin, I call them Claflin. We had Central Plains come down here and beat us 130 to nothing. Right? But you got to see that's what it takes. And in 2 short years, we were that Central Plains. We were them. We would have beat that team. I have no doubt in my mind. And that's because you guys were willing to take that butt kicking and to go back to work and to get in the weight room day after day after day and to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and stay till 7:30 to get better. And with the class above you, now look at what you got. Look at what you've done. This is all you guys. We have 95% attendance in the weight room every year. And that's not going to change because you guys built that foundation. Because you were willing to do it. Should have played sometimes. But you were there.
Like once this year, man.
I'm just This is it's kind of like a roast. And you guys did that. You built that foundation. And we, as a staff, owe everything to you. We didn't do anything. You know, it takes kids that want to go to work every single day, want to get better, want to get picked on by their coach, you know. It just takes you guys. And it takes what you've done the last 6 years. I remember having a talk with you guys. It might have been 8th grade or 7th grade, but we were huddled after practice, and the high school was off doing something, I don't know what, and we talked about the future of the program. And I didn't know I'd be your coach at that point, but we talked about what it was going to take to not be the embarrassment, okay, the armpit of 8-man football, which is what we were. And I don't know if you listened or if you just were scared to fail. But you took it and you ran it and you never looked back. And because of that, we're not the armpit 8-man football. We're one of the best programs in football in a 3-year period. Okay? So, we've been through a lot, and I mean a lot. A lot. COVID sucks, okay? Personal shit sucks, but I'm more proud than ever, and I'd go through it with you 100 more times. If any of you ever need anything, I'm a phone call away. You can stop by my house. Don't care. I'm there. If you get homesick next year, whatever you choose to do, call me. Talk it out. I'll always be around for each and every one of you. And I'm proud of who you've become as men, and I look forward to seeing what you become in the future. So, you're 2020 seniors. All right, thanks for putting up with me talking. That's all I got. Don't forget to pick up your letters and your bars over here, and then your achievement for being smart. We'll just leave it at that. And take it with you. Okay, these tables should be clear by the time you leave. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. Tremendously successful year. Great career for the seniors. And I look forward to the future from here on out. But just close it up with your 2020 CG football team.